Welcome to Suzanne's studio. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host. Now, it's a fact that we are all aging. Do you think that there's something we can do about it? Can we have a better, more fruitful life? Well, when you hear my guest and see her, I think we're going to feel a lot better. My guest is Sharon Fay, who is a registered nurse. She is the wellness director at the Forum, which is located in Cupertino at the Rancho San Antonio. And I'd like to introduce Sharon. Sharon, I am so glad you're here. And you have so much to tell us. This will not be your first appearance.
Thank you.
So how in the world did you decide you wanted to be a nurse? And I also want to tell the audience that you've been in the profession for 44 years.
Yes.
So you started when you were 3 years old. You were a genius.
Don't remind me.
Okay, tell us.
So I remember just wanting to be a nurse. I don't know where it came from, but as a 10 or 12-year-old, read all the Cherry Ames Candy Striper novels, even became a Candy Striper, and I said, yes, I really want to do this. So I went off to nursing school, because at that point, what did young women do? They went to teaching or they went to nursing. Went to nursing. Graduated, and then worked in, went to Baltimore and worked in the critical care units for a number of years, and then moved into public health nursing in the inner city of Baltimore. Then I took myself to Western Massachusetts and worked for the Visiting Nurse Association there. Took a little hiatus to have my family, and then worked at a very exclusive health resort called Canyon Ranch that had a very world-renowned health and healing department. So we had physicians, nutrition, psychologists, exercise physiologists, acupuncturists, et cetera, et cetera. And we approached health and wellness and medicine from an integrative approach. So that was, we were on the cutting edge of many things now that are commonplace. So that was very exciting to be there. I then left there after 12 years and came to California, and for seeking better climate, and came to California and began working in the senior living industry. And absolutely loved it. Found that I could bring my knowledge and my expertise and open people to the integrative approach to wellness instead of just typical, allopathic medicine. And also gained much inspiration from working with our older population. So that's where I'm at.
So you are the wellness director.
Yes.
What do you do?
As the wellness director, we have a wellness clinic, wellness center. So I oversee that, and I have a staff of about 9 CNAs, certified nursing assistants, a couple of licensed nurses. We do medication management. We provide care services for residents in the independent living to keep them independent as long as possible if they need some slight assistance. We host flu vaccine clinics. We do take care of what I call ooh-oohs and ow-ows. We respond to emergencies. I also oversee the programs and activities department, because that is, again, a component of wellness, and oversee the fitness department at the Forum. So all of those things make up under the umbrella of wellness.
So the big thing, though, things have changed in the last 20 years, 10 years. Talk about, God, I hate it, exercise. Tell us how important it is.
So exercise is key. It really is key, and you need to move. A number of years ago, there was a professor from Harvard that went to the 4 continents on the earth, and he found native populations that had a large percentage of centenarians. And he decided to figure out what was that? What did each one of these? So he found a common link, and the common link of all these 4 areas and these Native communities were exercise, a living in a communal setting, so sense of community, and also an alcoholic beverage that was indicative to the tribe. But let me get to the exercise. And so what was interesting with that was that nutrition didn't matter so much. Now, I'm not saying nutrition doesn't matter, because it does, but that wasn't, it was the exercise that was key. And a couple years ago, I went to a convention, and I heard Dr. Henry Lodge speak. He's a physician from Manhattan. He oversees a clinic of 23 physicians in Manhattan. And he and one of his patients, who's a retired lawyer, wrote this book called Younger Next Year, Living Strong, Fit, and Sexy Until You're 80 and After. And the book emphasizes fitness and exercise. And many people go, oh, exercise. What they say is start with exercise and do it long periods of time and slow. So if you exercise at, what they're saying is start at 65% of your target heart rate. So let's say you're 80 years old. That would mean you would get your target heart rate to maybe 91 beats a minute. That's not that hard. That's not working as hard as someone would think. And maybe that's walking on the treadmill or on a stationary bike. So what this does is the body has this mechanism where we are constantly, I hate to use the word, but decaying and growing. And there's chemistry, biochemical reactions that happen in our body that break down our cells. And then if we don't exercise, we don't have the chemical get released that will help us regrow our cells. And so the other good news is that, just for an example, the muscles in our leg will break down and regrow on a daily basis, day and night, and every 4 months we have new muscles.
Really?
So the body is a dynamic organism.
Yeah.
Our bones regrow and they break down and they grow, and they replace themselves completely every 2 years. Our red blood cells, every 3 months, we have all new red blood cells. And so this process of decay can really be minimized if we exercise and we allow the release of this other chemical that helps with the regrowth of the cells. So we don't have to decay. And many of these things that happen to us as we age are the result of inactivity. So
there was this very, very attractive woman, I would say, late 60s, early 70s on Channel 9, and it was called Aging Backwards. Mm-hmm. And she was talking, of course, exercise is so in, right? Mm-hmm. But she said, I am going to tell you the very best exercise you can do. And I thought, I wonder what I hope it's simple. She said, it's the exercise that you decide to do yourself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about people that don't have a class to go to, they don't drive, mm-hmm. that they don't have, the access mm-hmm. to exercise? What can they do?
They can walk out their front door. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Is that good enough?
Yes. Walking, any movement you do, any type of sustained for a period of time on a regular basis is certainly going to help you. You can turn on a little TV show and watch, we put it on in the Wellness Center, and watch seated exercise, to help with strengthening muscles and bones. You can join a fitness club.
But what if you can't get there?
If you can't get there, you can do it in your own home.
Oh, you can?
You can do anything in your own home. And can you, again, walk out your front door and walk around your yard? Can you walk down to the corner or back. So it's exercise, walking is really the most inexpensive exercise. You need a pair of good shoes, and that's it.
And they say it's your legs that, as we
Yes.
get older, that are so important because of balance and
Yes.
everything. Tell about memory.
Memory. I don't know. No. Memory. So the exercise goes hand in hand with memory as well, and staving off memory issues, Alzheimer's, even mood disorders, depression, hyperactivity, and another physician, a psychiatrist, that wrote a book called Spark, S-P-A-R-K, and Dr. Ratey, R-A-T-E-Y, found out about this program that happened in this very small town outside of Chicago called Naperville, Illinois. And Naperville School District had 19,000 students in it. And the phys ed teacher decided he was going to change up the program and issue every student, he started small, in the high school, a heart rate monitor. And that each student was charged with exercising to obtain 85% of their target heart rate. And it didn't mean they had to run or do sprints. It could merely mean they were walking. But if they succeeded at the 85%, they got a pass. Mm-hmm. And so what happened over time is that these students did better on testing like SAT scores, and this program kind of went viral. And it's even been brought here to California. The California Educational District adopted it. And they're showing that children, no matter what socioeconomic group, with exercise, they score better on tests, and their memory allows them, their memory is enhanced, and so they can get retested and still score well. And so that equates to us as well. And we know now that the brain has the ability to make new pathways in the brain. And what triggers that? Exercise. What triggers the biochemistry in the neurochemicals? Exercise. So we know that with exercise, endorphins get released, and I've probably heard this word before. Endorphins are the feel-good hormone that gets released. And what does that do? That diminishes the levels of cortisol, and cortisol is our stress hormone. So not only do we feel good, but our body is more at rest and able to repair itself, rejuvenate itself. And so it doesn't only affect the brain, it affects the entire body.
Okay, my next question is, having all this information, how do we become motivated? How am I going to be motivated? I mean, I'm listening to all of you, all of the things that you're saying, but what's really going to motivate me?
Right.
You know, I'm saying the collective, yeah.
And so what I hear many times, and even from my own mother, who is 86, and she said, I've got to this point, thus far, without any formal exercise, why should I start? And so my response is, because you can age with more vitality, with less pain, with less joint issues. And how do I stay motivated? You know, when I think of exercise, I think of, what is the emotion I feel when I'm finished? I don't like to exercise. I don't think anybody really does. I mean, nobody's dying to get to the gym. And it's, what do you feel like after? And if you can attach to the emotion that I feel good, it's like, yes, I did it. It's over with. Gee, I lost some weight. I'm feeling a little better. You also get a greater sense of confidence. You feel more vital.
That's true.
You do. And so how do you stay motivated? You know, it is a commitment, and it's one step at a time. And when I was at the Canyon Ranch, I did a talk on taking it home. And so people were at this lovely place for 3 or 4 days, and then they had to go back to reality. And they wrote themselves a letter. I devised a letter, and you can do this for yourself. And it's over the next X number of months or weeks or whatever, I will commit to the following. So I will commit to exercising 10 minutes a day for the next 5 days. I will drink 1 more glass of water a day, whatever it may be. Then you date it, you self-address it, and you mail it to yourself on a certain date, or you give it to a neighbor to say, mail this to me in a month. And just that thought that, ooh, it's almost like many of us are very competitive, and we're competitive with ourselves. That letter would come back to people, and they were like, oh, I don't know if I want to open this letter or not. And they would come back to me and say, that was very powerful. The other thing, too, is we all like reward. I had other people that would get a calendar and get the old-fashioned little star stickers that we had in grammar school.
Yeah.
And every day of exercise, they'd put a sticker on the calendar. And they liked to see that, look how good I'm doing. One more thing is, we have so much technology now to prompt us to go and to do. And the Fitbit, there's all kinds of wearable technology that people don't even have to think about it. Even in your cell phone, there's all kinds of gadgets out there to help people to exercise.
So again, it's education, just like what you're doing right now, and to motivate the person, number one, and then number two, to continue to realize that it's so important. It really is. And it does affect you mentally also. Now, I'm just going to change the subject for a minute. You having been a nurse and such a very important person in your life, you must have had some experience that was earth-shattering. Have you?
Yes.
Tell. You got to tell.
Well, there were quite a few. However, one of the first ones that I'll go back to is when I was a newly graduated nurse and thought I knew everything. Was alone on a night shift in the coronary care unit, and I had a patient that flatlined, meaning his heart stopped. And I called the physician. I couldn't get the physician. It was a very small hospital, no physicians in the hospital. And so as I was watching this, I thought, oh dear, I need to do something now. So I had watched the procedure before, and it had been done on this particular patient. So I got the IV medication. I injected the IV medication into the IV, and all of a sudden we had a heartbeat. And it was something I shouldn't have done legally. Back then you were not allowed to do that, but I did it, and I saved the man's life. And the physician came in an hour later, and I told him what I did. He didn't bat an eye, left. It was like 3 in the morning. And I went home that day, and I couldn't fall asleep. So I went back to the hospital. I went to the director of nursing, and I told her what I did, thinking I was going to be fired. And she said to me, don't worry. You really took a step. You made something happen that needed to happen here. We need to have a physician on call in this hospital so things like that don't happen. Don't worry, she said. You're not going to lose your license. So with that action that I took, I set a precedence at that hospital, which I felt very proud of, after that fact.
So, I mean, I would wear a sign, saying, telling what I had done. So it sounds like it's been so gratifying for you. And do you ever I always ask this question, Sharon, do you ever get burned out? Do you ever say, I'm so tired,
No, I mean, no,
never
not
do.
really. Because every day is a new day. It's such a dynamic field, and there's so much going on and happening. And to keep abreast of things, you're always learning something new. And no, I just find it a very exciting field, and I'm really glad I chose it.
And after 44 years, you're still crazy about it. And I'm using, I'm not using it loosely. The word is passion. I've got to find another synonym. So what do you think is going to happen to your life, say, in the next 10 years?
Wow.
Just personally speaking.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you've got a fabulous horse, which is so interesting, because nursing and horses, opposite. No, but what do you think you're going to be doing?
You know, I keep reinventing myself, and eventually I will retire into something else. I don't think I'll ever retire, but not have to do the 9 to 5, because that gets a little hard sometimes. The 50 or 60 hour a week that typically nurses do. But, you know, I am very motivated. I have a new grandson, and I am very motivated to be well and to watch him graduate high school. And he's 16 months old. So I've got to take care of self, and that's what's motivating me. And I also believe that I've read enough, I know enough, that if I follow the exercise and I eat healthy, that I will attain that. And I also know that in this modern age of technology, boy, I could be a bionic woman if I wanted to at some point. There is a part for everything these days that, you know, it's pacemakers to keep your heart going, and there's stem cell and can regrow a pancreas or whatever. So, you know, in 10 years, who knows? The sky's the limit. I don't look at that. I just, day by day, there's a whole wide world out there, and I just keep going.
Now, since you work with older people, someone corrected me because I've said old people, and I'm an old people, but I don't think of myself as old people. But working with older people, and some of them have such difficult issues, I imagine that must be quite a challenge, Sharon, for you to keep bolstering them. How do you do that?
Yeah. You know, I think listening is so important. First of all, I love working with the senior population a lot. I find them very inspirational. Many people have attained have lived amazing lives, have had many successes, and their stories I love their stories. And I think that listening to someone, to try to find that little nugget that maybe nobody else paid attention to then delve into that. As far as health issues go and medical stuff, I try to open people to new things and new ways of thinking. Sometimes it's a little difficult because people, you know, think that their physician, you know, that generation is, my doctor said so, and so therefore I will. I think that's kind of easing up a little bit, and people are more open to hearing other points of view. In other words, have you tried acupuncture? You know, have you tried massage? You know, in Europe, massage is considered a medical therapy. So I think that's what I do. I think the best is just that listening and to tell the story and to connect the dots. Because you may go to an orthopedist, a cardiologist, an audiologist, an optometrist. Think of the list. Do those doctors communicate with each other? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Not. And so if I can help connect the dots that way, sometimes we have a revelation and we go, found it.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're so well liked at the
thank
forum. And I can understand why.
Thank you.
And I don't know what I would do without the forum. I mean, I would be the best. Well, I love to feature forum people, you know, because I just can't believe they're close to 400 people.
Yes.
And everybody has a story. Not only that, but it's a microcosm of every family. I mean, every family has some problem, although I have met a couple of people that I just can't believe it, that they still like each other after 60 years
Yes.
of marriage, and they've had a very, very nice life.
Fruitful
Their
life, yeah.
children are pretty perfect, and their grandchildren.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, the people that,
Yeah.
that we find there. Now, my final question is, what, and I hope you'll come back because there's so much information that you can tell us about, but what would you like to tell the audience? If you could say one thing that you really feel really strongly about, what would that be, Sharon?
I feel really strongly that people need to move. The human being was made to move. And not to be fearful of that, and to go slow, hire a fitness person, but start moving if you're not moving. And you will see the benefit from that. I think that's the takeaway message. Yeah.
It's a good message. I will adhere to that. Thank you so much for being here. I've really been so pleased with myself that I was able to get you to be a guest. And I thank you, and continued success, and keep up that enthusiasm.
Thank you.
And I want to thank our crew. We have such a good crew, and they're exercise people, I'm
Good,
sure.
good.
We've got hot stories about them. And of course, I want to thank our audience for watching. I always say this from my heart. And you know something? I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye. Mwah, mwah.